and welcome here to TalkFCB, and welcome back to the channel here today, guys, where honestly, it is all going on right now. Coming up in today's video, we're going to be talking about what on earth Hector Fort was thinking on the first day of pre-season. We're also going to be talking about Diaz and the huge developments on him today, and of course, it is all kicking off now with Marc-Andre Ter Stegen. There is so much to come, so come on and let's do it. But let's first of all start with the super thanks, because quite honestly, there is still a lot of debate going on here about how we should be pronouncing Rooney's surname. I don't know where to turn, I don't know what to believe at this point, guys. I don't know how it's done. But a big thank you indeed for the support there, and also from Yamiahu and Ridgy. I really appreciate it there on the super thanks. But let's kick off by talking about Pablo Torre, because indeed yesterday evening his departure to Mallorca was confirmed. Pablo Torre has now joined Mallorca on a permanent deal, on a 4-year deal there until 2029. Now what we know is that he was sold for around €5 million. I mean, Barca didn't officially announce the fee. I mean, which for me, that's never the most reassuring sign. I'd like to know what it was. Publicly tell us. Why not? But Barca did officially confirm, though, that they will have a buyback option. That is good. Again, no word on how much that will be, but it's good that we have that option, along with a percentage of any future sale, which again, there was no confirmation on the amount, but we believe that could be as high as 50% there of any future sale. And I've got to say, guys, putting aside the negotiations on this one, putting aside what indeed we've sold him for, I think it's actually going to be really interesting to see how Pablo Torre does at Mallorca. I think it's a really interesting move, and not only because we face them in the opening game of our La Liga season. That is going to be really good fun, coming face to face straight away with Pablo Torre, but I'm just intrigued to see what kind of level he's going to show there. With regular game time, he's going to be in a team there that I think is going to try and play around him. They're going to try and get the best out of him there, play to his strengths. Mallorca, they're really excited to have him, and I think he's really going to enjoy the love of the fans there, the appreciation, and I think the big question is going to be, could we see him one day back at Barca? Do you guys still believe that he has the level to play here, that he will go away now and show that kind of level in La Liga? Well, for sure, we are going to be keeping a very keen eye on his progress. Good luck, Pablo Torre. However, guys, we do now move from one young player to another, and we actually go back to the very first day of pre-season training, because can I just say, 35 players return for that first day on Sunday there, and of those 35, only one of them turned up late, and that was Hector Fort. And I've got to say, guys, when I heard that news, it actually came out, it emerged yesterday in the media, I was gutted. I was really disappointed with him, because there's a reason why all 34 of the rest of them didn't turn up late. Because you can't do that with Flick. You cannot insult him almost like that, because he didn't take it well. Apparently there he did confront him. He confronted the player. He really did tell him, look, this is not good enough. It's the first day of pre-season training. And apparently Fort had stayed out pretty late the night before. We all know about Lamine Yamal's birthday party. But ultimately, you knew that pre-season was the next day. There were plenty of other Barca players at that party. And if you're going to go and do that, you've still got to remember your responsibilities. Other players, everybody else turned up on time. It's a terrible way. It's a terrible way to kick off such an important time for him. Because you think back to last season, a player here who had barely any minutes under Hansi Flick, and you think, I've got to do something. I've got to show something now. I've got to prove myself. And ultimately, in pre-season, that's the time to do it. You'd think that there was nothing more important in this whole world than making a good impression now. So to turn up late on the first day, it's a nightmare start. And of course, things can get back on track. He can work really hard and tirelessly now, but it just doesn't look good from the attitude point of view here to start in that way. I was sad when I heard it, and come on, Hector, come on, this is a big summer for you. You gotta do better. Which then indeed, guys, brings us on to once again talking about the wide areas at Barca. What is going on? We've heard lots of targets, lots of players linked. We spoke yesterday about a new one, Bryan Zaragoza there from Bayern Munich. And those rumours are quite interesting, actually, because more and more sources now are starting to talk about Barca and Bryan Zaragoza. And the player himself actually even started liking some of those rumours, which I thought was quite interesting. And the latest on him, apparently, is that Barca have actually talked to his agent. They have actually gone towards there just to find out what's the situation, what's going to happen this summer. Are you going to leave Bayern? What kind of terms are we talking about? So at this stage, it's nothing really concrete. It's not like Barca are actively making a move for him, but they are just working out what the situation is. They are having a look and testing the water there in terms of a potential deal. So I'd say Bryan Zaragoza, one to just remember, one to keep an eye on in this summer period. But let's move on then to talk about Luis Diaz, because we continue to hear rumours that Barca haven't given up on him. And I've got to say, there's a large part of me here today that believes that Barca haven't made any other moves. They haven't really made anything concrete for any other winger, because they're still thinking about Diaz. They still believe they're going to be able to get him. And you've got somebody there like Deco that we know, he is obsessed with Luis Diaz. He genuinely is. He's against Rashford. He doesn't really want to talk about any other player. He has got Diaz on his mind all of the time. I mean, he's probably started calling his wife Louise at this point. What is happening? And we've heard constantly, Barca, they'll be able to bring the fee down. Barca believe they'll be able to get him for less in the end. Much, much less than what's being quoted. Well, can we talk about today's news then? Can we talk about the fact that David Ornstein, one of the most reliable journalists out there, has said today Liverpool immediately rejected a 67.5 million bid from Bayern for Luis Diaz. So today, Liverpool have turned down nearly 70 million. And it was immediate. They did not even think about it. It got nowhere near their valuation, apparently, because David Ornstein, like I say, is very, very reliable. He says that Liverpool's valuation, forget about 80 million, it's actually 100 million euros. Liverpool this summer, if they are to enter negotiations, if they are to do a deal for Luis Diaz, we are talking about 100 million. Now, I was pulling my hair out at 80 million. At 100, I don't know what to do. How are we still thinking about this deal? 100 million. It ain't gonna happen. Don't even go there. And the worst part? The thing that really does frustrate me right now about Barca? Apparently, we're hearing in the media, and again, I just believe this. I honestly do. Barca's hope is that Liverpool going after players there, like Alexander Isak, they're looking at him, they're wondering if they can pay the big, big money that Newcastle will want. They've even now been linked as well with Rodrigo, and Barca are hoping there that their pursuits of players like Isak, Rodrigo, that after spending that money, they will need to sell Luis Diaz. And again, guys, this does not sit well with me. This again reminds me of Felipe Coutinho. We're talking here about big European rivals, a team there that are going to be going for the Champions League title too. They're signing better players. They are going out now and looking at Isak, looking at Rodrigo. These are top players who've got so many years left at the very, very best level. And we're sitting here waiting for them to sign those, let's be honest, better players than Diaz. And so then after they've done that, we can pay huge money to get somebody who's not as good and help them fund those deals. That cannot happen. Again, guys, I don't know what we are thinking about right now. There's players out there that can be signed. There are players out there that can be brought in and can have a role in the team and can have an impact in the team for much, 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 much less money. We cannot go down the Luis Diaz route. That has been proven crystal clear today after this Bayern bid has been rejected. Way too much money. Which indeed, guys, does bring us on to talk about Marc-Andre Ter Stegen and this whole situation. And get ready for this. Honestly, you will need to sit down while we are talking about everything that's spiraling out of control right now. Because the big surprise came yesterday when all of the team again arrived out on the field for the first training session of pre-season, and Ter Stegen wasn't there. Ter Stegen was nowhere to be seen. And it turns out there that he did not take part in training with the rest of his teammates, and instead he stayed behind in the gym to work alone. Now, of course, the big question after that one session was always going to be, okay, what's happening? Is this a one-off? Was there some sort of explanation? Is there a reason behind this? Could it all just be one big strange coincidence? Well, no, it isn't. This is absolutely no coincidence here, because exactly the same thing happened this morning. In this morning's training session, Ter Stegen, for the second session in a row, trained alone, away from the rest of the group. He stayed in the gym yet again. And now let me just make one thing absolutely clear. This is his own decision. This is Ter Stegen taking himself away from the group there, not training with the rest of the team. That is his own call. Don't think here that he's been banished by Hansi Flick, that he's been told now because of his future to train away from the group. That's not Flick's style. That is not the way that he does things here. He's been honest with Ter Stegen, he's been upfront about it, but he has not cast him aside here from the group. It was Ter Stegen's own call to stay in the gym. Now, what we are also hearing, by the way, is that there's no injury. This is not here down to Ter Stegen having an injury problem, because don't forget, the club did a whole range of medical tests on him on Sunday, and nothing was reported in those examinations there. Ter Stegen didn't report anything to the medical team. But now we're hearing about Ter Stegen might have a bit of back pain. Oh, come on. You cannot tell me this is all just one big coincidence. And ultimately, guys, this is why we need a resolution. These are the kinds of situations, they don't help anyone. They don't help the club here, they don't help Hansi Flick, they certainly don't help the rest of the Barcelona players there, because ultimately, you don't want these kinds of distractions. You want a group here that are united together, everybody pulling in the same direction. You don't want any sort of bad atmospheres. You don't want things lingering around the training ground. Nothing at all that distracts the players from the job, the very, very important job in hand. And can I also just say, it's not only about the club. I mean, come on, surely Ter Stegen doesn't want a whole season of this either. Surely he is not happy. He is not content about this situation. Because let's be real here. I mean, like things are right now, being away from the group there, being cast aside. I mean, Ter Stegen right now, he's kind of getting a taste already of what the season will be like for him if he stays at the club. I mean, life here as a third goalkeeper, it's incredibly lonely. You are not going to feel needed in the squad. You are not going to feel there required by the coach or the rest of your teammates. Nobody is really going to miss you unless injuries happen. And I think with the World Cup on the horizon, guys, the absolute last thing that you would want to be is forgotten about. Ter Stegen does not want a season of this. And that is why, and I think this is crucial right now, the timing, this is why, according to the media, Ter Stegen's agent has finally started to explore the market. He is finally started to think, okay, in the event that my client here, in the event that Marc does change his mind, that he does change his stance there about not leaving the club, we've got to see what's out there. And I just think right now, this is testing the water. He is looking to see, is there a way out from Barca? What kind of clubs could I be joining this summer? Because at this point, yeah, Ter Stegen, he's still standing firm. He still maintains, I will not leave. I do not want to leave the club. I will not leave Barcelona. But I just think here, his agent laying the groundwork a little bit, testing those waters out there, I think it's a sign that at some point, I think it's in everybody's interest now, it clearly is, that Ter Stegen goes and gets a new challenge. Because I think in the end, it's probably going to come down to money. It's going to come down to what kind of payoff Ter Stegen seems to be demanding from Barca, whether it's going to be a sale, whether it's going to be a loan deal more likely. He's also going to need any new club to come up with big money. Ter Stegen is on big wages. He will expect those to be matched elsewhere. So there's not going to be a whole host of clubs here queuing up for him. Make no mistake about that. Everything is going to have to align. But I think right here, the more that time goes on here, the longer this kind of situation develops, the more sour it's going to become. And I just think right here, nobody wants that. Nobody wants this to continue to spiral and spiral and spiral on all sides here, just going at each other all the time. Let's just find a solution. Let's come together. Let's be adults about this. Let's be professional about this. It's a situation that suits no one, so get it solved. Get it solved quickly. So indeed, guys, what do you make right now about all of this? You know, what do you think about the scenes that we are seeing here with Marc-Andre, Ter Stegen? It'd be really interesting to see whether this continues for the coming training sessions. I mean, we've got one coming up tonight. You know, we've got training all week long. Can this continue? Will it continue in the same vein? Please do let me know all of your takeaways here today. What are you feeling? How are you reacting to this? And I will see you very shortly in the next videos to come, where all of the news will keep on coming. Thank you indeed, guys, for the fantastic support. But until next time, as always, Vejka, El Barça.